Well, good morning, all, and once again, I want to thank you, ladies, for the platform to be here. To all you listeners out there, I just want to say, this COVID thing has been amazing. I thought the most incredible thing in my lifetime was 9/11. Being born on December 7th, I've always been attached to that Pearl Harbor Day, which is a day that will live in infamy, but I wasn't born then. That was 1941. So here in 2001, we got to witness 9/11, and living here in East Orange, I could stand on my roof and I could see the Empire State Building literally from my house. So it was one of those most powerful moments in my life. And then here came March of 2020, and this thing called COVID was a game changer. Let me just set the stage for you a little bit. I work at PSE&G. Next year I'll be a 40-year employee, so I've been there quite a long time. I'm currently a tech support specialist. So when you work in utility world, we have that industry that cannot shut down. We must be there. We must be on the front lines, like your police, your fire, your healthcare workers. We're out there dealing with it. And depending on what department you are, it's a little bit more. Fortunately, I'm in a department where I don't have to be on the front lines, but we're still supporting those folks who are out there doing it. So when this COVID hit, March 11th, I was coming back from Orlando, Florida. I came home, that was a Wednesday. That Sunday, my son was coming in from Liverpool, England. That Monday morning, the president shut the country down. So if my son didn't get in when he did, he would have been stuck in Europe. Obviously, I was in the States, so I would have been able to figure out a way to get home. But basically, that was the day that really shut this nation down in a way that we never thought. I'm thinking it's March. You figure April, May, we'll be back to business and things will be normal. Guess what, folks? It's December. Look where we're at. We're still here. And this vaccination is just starting to get started. And especially if you look like we do, we're probably a little skeptical about taking it. So let me help you and walk you through a few things to just think about while we go through this process. So a good friend of mine, his name is Mike Howard. He's a motivational speaker. He sent me a message and he said, what stage is your focus during COVID-19? And in the beginning, when it first hit, it was the fear stage. We felt powerless. We were trying to gather all this information from anywhere we can, and you know how the web is. You go to WebMD, you have a hangnail, by the time you finish, you got stage 4 cancer. Okay? We're buying excessive food and supplies. Who could find toilet paper? Okay? You're feeling isolated and lonely. Your focus is dominated on the problem because you don't know what you're trying to do. Now as we started going through this thing, we started getting around that April-May time frame. We're in that learning stage. We started to try to take control of our future. We started shifting our thinking. We started seeking knowledge instead of just information so that we could understand and get through this. We also began to learn from others because, as we said, this is an experience here where we try to learn from others. And then we used our electronic devices so we could access some self-improvement information as technology became a great tool for us. And now as we're rounding that bend and we don't see it yet, but we kind of feel the home stretch is coming, we're in that productive stage. We're trying to encourage and inspire others. We're trying to embrace this change for growth. We're focusing on the solutions. In the beginning, I said we focused on the problems. Now we're focusing on solutions. We want to set a positive tone for our circle of influence. We want to educate and share with others. And we see the need to take the lead. So I sat down and I really thought about this and what was going on in my own personal life. And I came up with this concept where right now at this place in my life, I'm reinventing myself, I'm reinvesting in myself, and I'm recharging myself in spite of what's happening in this COVID. So let me break that down to you. As far as reinventing myself, when this COVID hit, it's a game changer. It disrupted the entire system. And if it disrupted the system, it means it disrupted your life too. So I ask you to look at yourself. What have you done to stay relevant? What have you done to stay connected and marketable during this time? First off, many of us have the opportunity to work from home. And of course, this is that time, the boss ain't looking, you kind of put your house slippers on, and you can kind of slough off, and you can do you. But you know what? This is not that time to disconnect and check out from your work location. This is when you're actually much more valuable because the office politics that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, and I don't care who you are and what level you are, there are office politics that you must deal with every day. Well, guess what? When you're working from home, all that goes away. Now you have an opportunity to prove yourself by your self-worth and your actions. As I told you, I'm going on 40 years next year, and it's easy to lose that fire and bring the energy that made you want to come to work every day. So what's happened to me is over my 40-year career, I have held 6 jobs. So basically, if you do the math, that means roughly every 6 years or so I'm changing jobs. So I'm probably due because I'm in my current position from 2015. I got a new manager that's coming in. My old manager retired October 2nd of this year. And basically, we've been managerless, so I've been kind of running the show with my chief, and we're kind of handling everything that happens. And we finally got a new manager name, and he knows absolutely nothing about our operation. He's coming from a different line of business. Matter of fact, the company is getting rid of his line of business. He comes from the fossil group, and he basically would have been out of a job if he didn't get this job. So I told the team, I said, listen, this is the time where we can mold him into what we need him to be. We can take this man and we can give him the tools he requires so that he can help us. A lot of people don't know that you can manage your manager. A lot of people let the managers manage them. That's managing from the top down. But you've got to learn to manage your manager. So one of the first things I did when I realized this new man was coming on board, we have a group picture. I took our group picture and I superimposed everybody's name on it. And I wrote a paragraph about each person to give them an idea, not just of who the people are that work for them, but something also, you know, this one is a grandmother. This one is incredibly technical. And just tried to give him a little bit of feedback so he'd have an opportunity without walking in the door cold. And he thanked me like you couldn't believe. And one of the crazy things is the leaders in our group, they tend to not be people-oriented. They're very techy and I won't say cold, but they just don't have that warm and fuzzy. This gentleman seems to have that. And my last manager, I told him, you got big shoes to fill, because our last manager had that in spades. So this was my opportunity to reinvent myself, to make sure I put myself in a position where I become a strong ally, somebody that he's going to lean on and depend on so that we can move this operation forward. Now, as I said, we could have took this time out where you're away, you're disconnected from the office, and you can just disappear. This is not the time to do that. Make sure you use this opportunity to reinvent yourself. I would like to talk to you about reinvesting. What do they tell you about when you get your money in your hand? You make $100, first thing they tell you is take a little bit off the top and pay yourself first. And especially as a black culture, we're very materialistic. And we tend to go for the bling and things that really don't bring us value down the road. And the one thing we neglect is our own self. We have to think about self during this time of COVID. So one of the things I have done is I live on Zoom. I live on YouTube. Oh my God, the wealth of information that is available to you. And you got to be selective because not all information is good. But the opportunity now to slow down and just really absorb this stuff. I have watched so many YouTubes about, you know, fixing things, about projects I'm trying to get involved in. The information is incredible, especially when you have great teachers out there. I've also been reading like a madman. As a kid, my mother brought me a set of encyclopedias, so I read everything. I was like the only black kid in my neighborhood that had encyclopedias. Everybody else had to go to the library. I used to literally read the books cover to cover. So hence I walk around with all this useless knowledge in my head that I can bring up at the toss of a hand without even thinking about it. But it was random and it was disconnected. So now it's given me an opportunity to connect the dots, because this is just that opportunity for incredible, incredible self-learning. Right now, I'm reading Lenny Kravitz's autobiography. It's called Let Love Rule. I'm enjoying that book. I'm almost finished that. I have Bruce Lee's The Warrior Within, and it's the philosophies of Bruce Lee, who was an incredible influence on any of us that grew up in the 70s. And I could not buy this gentleman's book, Barack Obama's latest book, or President Barack Obama as we should call him. His latest book is called The Promised Land. That thing is as thick as the Bible. But I read his other 2 books, and the information coming from this man. This man is an incredible scholar. People can say what they want to say about his legacy and his presidency, but coming through what we're going through now with the current presidency, and then getting ready to turn into the Biden presidency, you're going to look back and really realize how intelligent and how much IQ Barack had, and the fine line he had to walk to be the president he was, because no one saw this coming, a black president in the history of this country, given the history of this country. So don't be ashamed to take a little read and hear what's on this man's mind, because he is an incredible orator, and his message is so powerful. So about reinvesting in myself, I said, what do I need to do to really up my game? I got a couple things on my bucket list. So in 2000, my daughter graduated high school and she started to go to college. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go to college with you, okay? She went to Montclair, and I went to, they brought college to the job, and I went through a thing called corporate college. Well, in 4 years, my daughter was on track. She graduated, got her degree in psychology. Well, her father fell off because I kind of was doing 50,000 things and I just couldn't focus in enough. And I've been trying, I just couldn't do it. And I finally reached out to my old advisor from back in the day, and I told her, I said, I think I'm ready. And she was thrilled. You should have seen her and heard her when she spoke to me on the phone. I'm probably about 50 credits short of my degree. She sat down, she worked out my program. She got me enrolled in Excelsior College, and starting January 11th of this year, originally I was going to be, of next year, I was going to have a Bachelor in Science of Organizational Management. Now I'm going to switch gears and I'm going to go into a Bachelor of Science in Liberal Arts with a focus in Administration and Management. So this is a bucket list item that I really would like to knock off while I have an opportunity to do so. And all this year has been preparing me. From this March time till now, I've had that opportunity to get back into that learning mode, to get back into that reinvesting in myself and figuring out what I need to do to try to make myself a better citizen on this planet. And last but by no means least, I talked to you first about reinvention. I'm talking to you about reinvesting in yourself. Now I want to talk to you about recharging. That's the one thing that we really need to do, because this COVID is really, you can't go out, you can't be social, you can't be with your friends. We have racial tension going on, we got this political strife going. This pandemic is just amazing, and this isolation. We are human beings. Human beings are social creatures. Whether you like it or not, we need that social interaction. I don't care if you get in the car and you go into Walmart and walk around for 20 minutes. You need that social interaction. We're not designed to sit alone. You know, we're not bears that hibernate and just sit off on our own. We need that. Okay, some of us need it in more degrees than others, but we need that social interaction. So to recharge ourselves, there's always something inside of you that is burning deeply. You have something inside of you that is burning. If you don't know what it is, ask your friends. You walk up to your friends and say, hey, what do you think I'm good at? And sometimes you don't even know it, but they will tell you exactly what it is because they know it. They know exactly what you're good at. Sometimes what's that line? You don't see the forest for the trees, but they see it because they see you from the outside in versus you looking from the inside out. And I had to look in myself and think about what is the thing that makes me the most happiest. And it was music, with hands down, without question. I've been a musician since 1979. I started out DJing and I started playing drums. When I got good enough, I had the opportunity to play in a multitude of bands over the years. The highlight was in 2009, I formed my own band. My band was called Flip the Script. I was the leader of the band. I put it together, and we had an incredible 10-year run from 2009 to 2019. We started out as a 4-piece, and we ended up with 6 people. And the beauty of it is we're still in touch with each other. We actually had got together around September for an impromptu jam session because we hadn't seen each other for quite a while. And I consider that one of my crowning achievements because all those bands I played in all the years basically set me up to learn how to be a leader and grow people in an organization where we had fun and we had the ability to come together to make a joyful noise. So in 1995, many years before I had the band, I had built myself a home studio where I could work on my own stuff. I created my own original music for decades, okay? I mean, I've been in here just grinding in my lab. But I never ever formally released it. I basically would play tracks for my friends, send them a few things here and there, but I never thought I would release it as a product, because I never really saw myself as an artist per se. I saw myself as a bandmate. You know, I would be in the band, especially when you're a drummer, you're in the back, you're supporting that thing, and you're making sure it rolls down the tracks. And right around September, I guess the fire started burning in me as I thought about this recharging. And I said, you know what? I need to release my own CD. I said, I've been having this music for all this time. My son kept encouraging me because he's probably released 10 of his own CDs. He was the keyboard player in my band. He kept saying, yo, Dad, you can do this. Like, I don't know why you don't do it, but go ahead. And I have to think about it. I said, probably it was fear. It was probably not thinking my work was equal to those people that have work out. It was not feeling I had the right type of vibe that was going on. All those things that we do, which bring us into that mode of self-doubt. But when you talk about art, we're all individual. What you see through your lens does not, may not move me the way I see it through my lens. But it's going to move somebody out there. It's going to speak to somebody. You just have to get it out. So what I did is I formed my own publishing company. I figured out what songs I wanted to put together. I copyrighted my work. And I set my goal, this started around September, I set my goal that on my birthday, December 7th of this year, I was going to drop that project. It just coincided that on December 7th I turned 60, so this was a big birthday for me. And I figured, hey, what better way to celebrate since we can't go nowhere? We were scheduled to go to the Poconos and we couldn't do it, so I said, you know what, we're going to celebrate at the house. So I put it together, and on December 7th I dropped my very first solo project. I called it Introducing the Brother AJ 7, and it has 7 songs on it. It was dropped on December 7th. And all the songs were written, they were composed, they were arranged, they were performed, they were produced, mixed and engineered by me. If that sounds familiar to you, my favorite artist is Prince. And one of the things you'll know about Prince is he kind of walks that avenue when he's not in a band situation. He's always doing his own stuff by himself. And I think I shocked many of my friends because they got a chance to hear me sing out front for the first time. As I said, in the band, I'm the drummer, so I would sing background vocals, never really led no songs. So it was a stretch, and it was a metamorphosis and a coming out party for me. So I've been able to use this 9-month journey to show how I've worked on myself during this COVID pandemic. Everything that I've done as far as reinventing, reinvesting, and recharging myself is only going to help me as we roll into 2021. Again, let me just recap. I reinvented myself at work because I want to ensure I'm a valued member of the team and I can bring my diverse skill sets as well as my long-time insight to the table to help this organization move forward. By reinvesting in myself, I'm challenging my inner student to buckle down to complete this task that I just seemed to could not get over the hurdle, and as well as absorb this new learning that's out there. And I got to feed this thing that we call the brain. I like to call it gray matter, because if you don't think about it, it just don't matter. So we got to feed that brain. And then in recharging, I was able to dig within myself and use my own personal gifts that make me come alive and bring me arguably my greatest joy. There's no greater gift than using what you've been blessed with to build your own brand and make a way to share with those who love you as they take that journey with you. So I hope that message can kind of resonate, and I hope some of you can feel that and think about yourself in those same things. You don't got to be music. You don't have to be dedicated on your work, but you got to think about how these things can change your life and move you forward, because we're going to come out of this COVID. The vaccine is out. As I said, we ain't really looking for that right now, but once it's proven and it's something that looks like it's going to work, you should think about it, because at the end of the day, we all want to be healthy. On a little bit of a sad note, but thank God it wasn't COVID related. My in-laws, my mother-in-law passed away 86 years old in July of this year. And my father-in-law, 90 years old, 17 days later, on July 18th, he passed away. And I know he died of a broken heart, because they had 12 kids together and they were married for 66 years. The blessing in this is that they did not die from COVID-related issues. So just looking at the arc of their life and what they were able to do in their life made me sit here at 60 and go, hey man, it's time to get on the stick and make sure you don't let this thing beat you down. COVID is real. Don't let nobody fool you. Do the things you need to do to protect yourself. But inside of that, you can still live your life and try to enjoy it. How's that, Miss?